Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to see if Manacled will finally be the first book that will actually make me cry. So it's gonna be a Manacled reading vlog. This is gonna be full of spoilers. As I'm filming this, I only have about like 100 pages left, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be one of my favorite books I read this year. I love it. I'm not gonna spoil whether or not I actually did cry, but the thing with me is I usually am a pretty easy crier. Like I can cry when I'm watching a sad movie, even with songs I sometimes cry. But with books for some reason, it's very difficult for me to cry. Usually when I do a reread and it's a sad book, I can cry. A part of me thinks, my psychology brain is like, I think my brain is trying to protect itself from grief by pretending. Like I think my brain is just convincing me every time like a sad thing happens or a character actually dies in like other books, my brain just convinces me it's either a dream sequence or it didn't really happen, and then by the time my brain finally catches up to, oh wait, they did die or whatever, then like the emotional moment has passed. Whereas in rereads, my brain is not afforded that luxury. So that is my theory. With this one, however, I do like, it is just sad all around, and it's not just sad because people are dying. It's sad for a multitude of reasons. So we're gonna see if I actually will be crying in this vlog. Really hope you enjoy it. For those of you who have not read Manacled, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, some of the quotes in here, like I think SenLinYu, the way she writes is so much better than a lot of other actual published authors. So I would say definitely read it. You don't have to have read Harry Potter to love this book, but obviously it will help. Everything from here on out is all spoilers, so I really do hope you enjoy it, and definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read this book. Did you cry, and when was the moment you started sobbing? I only read the first chapter and already it is already fucking sad. The way she described Harry hanging from the astronomy tower and Ron and Lupin, like, and Ron and his family and Lupin, and the visuals of that, heartbreaking, heart fucking breaking. So yeah, that sets the tone for this book. I do have to say it reads very fast because there's a lot of space in between. Like there's like short parts in each chapter, which I like because that just makes me fly through it. Like I said, I've only read one chapter yesterday. Today, hopefully I can read more than one chapter because yesterday was a filming day, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to read, and I was reading another book that is kind of priority right now. But yeah, hopefully I can read at least 2 or 3 chapters today. That would be great. Right now she's still in jail at Hogwarts, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing when she actually gets to Malfoy Manor, if they're at Malfoy Manor. And I forgot there's this, I think Nessian Arts is her name. She's a fan artist that I follow on Instagram, and she actually did some fan art for Manacled, which if I remember, I'll leave her linked for you. So if I really love Manacled, I'm 100% buying the bookmark and maybe the fan art, because I mean, I love Dramione anyway, but especially if I do love this story, then having actual fan art for the actual Manacled story, obviously I'm interested. Okay, so I have read the first 11 chapters. I'm pretty sure this story will be that Hermione and Draco were in a relationship before, I think, because you go back, you see flashbacks. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I don't think they're gonna actually fall in love while she's there. I'm pretty sure they're already in love and she doesn't remember. Pretty sure that's the story. And not because I've been spoiled, but that's kind of what is my conclusion, because why do you need all these flashbacks? Because basically you have 25 chapters and then 38 flashback chapters. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the flashbacks we're gonna see them fall in love. So that is my first indication. Second indication is, even though part of me thinks, what the fuck, this man is evil and how can you ever love him? There are some moments, especially in the last couple of chapters that I've read, where he's softening in snippets, like in moments where you see him laugh or you see him, oh, that is my dishwasher. You see him irrationally angry at something she did when it kind of concerns her safety. Yeah, so far, honestly, I'm reading this book in between other books, and so far it hasn't gripped me yet, where I only want to do is read Manacled, where I need to stop reading everything else to read this. Although I do have to say right now I'm kind of slumping a little bit. I've become addicted to this Dutch TV show and I need to finish it before I can read again. Like I said, I read the first 11 chapters. She's been taken to Voldemort. Or at least chapter 12 is where she'll be taken to Voldemort. Some things that do kind of take me out of this story are the psychological terms, because obviously that really wasn't a thing in Harry Potter when she's talking about anxiety or agoraphobia, stuff like that. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a psychologist. Oh my god, it's 9:30 and this man is drilling. Let me just take a break here. Yeah, I don't know, like they never really used like these kind of medical terms, especially not psychology related. But other than that, I am very interested in this story. And I'm like the most interested in how this is going to become a love story, because right now I'm not really seeing it except for those little snippets that I told you guys about. I'm on chapter 16. I am really enjoying it. In fact, today I think I read 3 chapters back to back because I was very much intrigued. So far, nothing really romantic is happening. Although there are hints that Draco, you know, sometimes his behavior, I'm like, you love her, right? Like that is my theory and I'm sticking to it, that they have a relationship that she forgot about. Maybe I'm a sucker for punishment, because one thing that sometimes happens in books that I find incredibly sexy, even though it is kind of bully-like, almost like degradation in a way, where a man is kissing somebody else and then looking at you the whole time, like looking at the main character the whole time. I don't know why I find that sexy. I just do. And there was a scene in there where like at the, what's it called? The New Year's party, where he kisses his wife and is looking at Hermione, and I find that so hot. We know that Astoria is cheating on him and he don't give a fuck. And yeah, she slowly is getting her memories back. It is a very long book. And to be honest, I don't know. Obviously, it depends on how the story's going. But right now, it kind of does feel a little bit repetitive to me. Like, nothing much is really happening. Like, other than the first couple of chapters that were very harrowing. In the last 10 chapters, it's just her roaming around, having panic attacks basically. But as far as like the romantic aspect is concerned, there's nothing really there. And I have a feeling we're not gonna get that until we see the flashbacks, which I still have 10 chapters to go before we get into those flashbacks. So I'm very intrigued. But right now, if you're asking me, is it too long? Right now, it feels yes, but obviously I am nowhere near finishing this book. Like I'm only 15% in, I'm pretty sure. Also, like the whole High Reeve thing, I'm thinking he didn't kill all those people, but then who did? You know, already we saw Hermione in flashbacks thinking about dark magic. We saw her thinking about Montague or Montague. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Marcus, I think? No, not whatever. We saw her thinking that he might be a spy for the Order, which that has to be Draco, right? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't really have a whole lot of theories, but I do know that it's a Dramione love story. And right now, it's not really progressing in that way. Like you see him moments, like teeny tiny moments of him softening towards her, which if I didn't know that this was a love story between them, then I wouldn't even notice them. So I'm specifically looking for those scenes and kind of finding them, but they're few and far between. Although I do have to say in the last couple of chapters, there were a little bit more than before. Also, I am sometimes kind of confused because this story starts from 5th year on. So things that are canon are not really canon in this story. So the fact that Ginny and Harry are together is a secret that Hermione has kept. So sometimes I'm like, wait, is like what is canon in here and what isn't? So that kind of messes me up a little bit. But yeah, I am just like slowly making my way through this. And I do have a feeling like right now my intrigue is increasing. So I think I will be reading more in a shorter time period, because right now it took me a month and I'm just now. So I started on October 1st and right now it's October 30th and I'm just now on chapter 15, mainly because I'm not really prioritizing this book. I'm reading other books in between. Plus, there was a week there where I wasn't reading anything. But like I said, right now I read 3 chapters. So yeah, I don't think I can read more today because I have other books I really want to finish before the end of October. But in November, it's definitely going to be not my highest priority, but it is going to be a priority because I don't want to spend 3 months reading this book. I feel like 2 months is enough. Okay, guys. So I am at this point where I cannot stop reading Manacled. Like, I think I read like 7 chapters back to back. Like, I could not stop reading. Right now, I'm on chapter 25. Already, she's starting to develop feelings for him. He, obviously, there's something going on, which I'm almost at the point with the flashbacks, and I am so excited about that. Already, there was a scene where they had to have sex face to face, which obviously changed their dynamics a little bit. She realized that he really does not want to rape her, which she's conflicted about that because she feels like it's sort of Stockholm syndrome thing, because since he's not as cruel as other people, she mistakes that for thinking that he cares, which I do think that he cares, but she doesn't know why. And that kiss scene between them, I swooned. I'm not gonna lie. Even though technically he's still evil, I am so intrigued. Like, the intrigue is so high right now. All I want to do is figure out what their past relationship was. It seems like he knows specific details about things in her life that he couldn't have gotten from memories. Like, there's this thing where he talked about, Harry was allowed to grieve Colin Creevy's death for weeks, yet you only had 4 hours until you had to go to your next shift. Like, that seems to me things that he would know because she told him previously, as opposed to him learning that through her memories. She's pregnant now as well. So I am at this point, I cannot stop reading it. I actually have other books to read, like my TBR, but all I want to do right now is read. I know today I have a lot of time to read tomorrow as well. Tomorrow I'm going to go get my hair done, but this is going to be a sad book. Obviously, it's already very sad. I haven't cried yet, but I don't want to cry at my hair appointment, obviously. But I have another book that I also want to read tomorrow. But yeah, like I said, chapter 25 is going to be the last chapter before the flashbacks start, which there's going to be 38 chapters of flashbacks. Yeah, I'm in, guys, and I'm very, very intrigued and very interested to see what's gonna happen next. So I just read flashback 4, or 3, actually, flashback 3. Draco is so sexy, and the way she describes him, yes, girl. So this is the first flashback where they actually meet for the first time, and she described him like this before, but this time she's like, beautiful and damned, a fallen angel, or perhaps the angel of death. They meet, and she's like, okay, so what exactly do you want from me? He tells her that she'll be his now, during and after the war, so she'll be his forever, basically. So he tells her, I'm not gonna touch you, but then he says that he wants her to kiss him. So she does, and that scene, I mean, it was very short, but it did everything it needed to. And then he teaches her a better way to do occlumency, because he goes into her mind in like a trick way, and then he teaches her what she needs to do. And, it's obvious that she's using those tricks in the present day as well. But yeah, so far, like, I'm really into this book. I had to stop for a couple weeks because I was doing the Goodreads Choice Awards and I was busy reading other things, but I'm buckling down. I really want to finish this as soon as I can. But yeah, it's clear SenLinYu is an amazing author. Like, I think she could be, if she wrote things other than fan fiction, I think she'd be a very popular author. I'm just finally excited to actually see their love story. So I'm on flashback 15, and it's fucking perfect. Listen, I am in love with Draco. Let me just read a couple lines to you, okay? The moment, the tension between them felt like the wings of a butterfly, delicate, breathtakingly fragile. Listen, SenLinYu knows how to fucking write. Oh my god, sometimes I just stare at her words. She looked up at him. His face was inches from hers, his eyes dark as he studied her face. He was startlingly handsome. Anyway, and then it goes, I must admit, he said in a low voice as though it were a confession, if anyone had told me that you'd become so lovely, I would have never come near you. I was rather blindsided when I first saw you again. She stared at him in confusion. And now for this line. You are like a rose in a graveyard, he said, and his lips curved into a bitter smile. I wonder what you could have turned into without the war. Please stop. Oh my god. This scene where they're drunk is just perfection. I'm still reading it, but I just want to cry and I want them to bang and I just want them to be happy. And, okay, so going back a little bit, even though I don't want to interrupt myself, the way Harry treats Hermione is just so awful. Like, I'm just very interested. Like, I am so sucked in this book right now. This is such a depressing book. Yet these beautiful moments in between, like, SenLinYu is a wordsmith. Oh my god. I am on flashback 25, and what I just read just broke my heart. I thought Draco and Hermione finally having sex for the first time was gonna be happy. Poor Draco, like I almost cried, and I usually have issues crying in books, but when he cried, I just felt so sorry for him. And the fact that he's, just ready to die, the fact that he's been climbing up the ranks just to, when inevitably the order betrays him, he would take out as much of Voldemort's army as possible. Like, could you imagine living like that? I felt so sorry for him. And also for Hermione, the Christmas party and everybody just berating her and stuff like that when she's just trying to win the war. This really is an epic war fic. Like, this is just depressing. Like, nothing happy is happening here. And that scene, one heartwarming thing that did happen, though, was that scene between Snape and Hermione. The fact that he, in his own way was trying to care for her. That was sweet. All I want to do is read this book now. I'm very, very, very invested. Right now it's December 8th, and I really want to finish this book by, in a week, because I'm sure this is going to be one of my favorites of the year, because right now I'm so invested and I'm only 55% of the way through. Oh my god. How can you make a sex scene this fucking sad, okay? Oh my god. I didn't think I would ever cry reading a sex scene, and I still haven't because I'm an ice queen when it comes to books. But this, oh my god, I almost came close. Oh my god. So I'm on flashback 28. They finally did it again after the first time. I'm in love with Draco. I just am. He is... what can I say about him? This is so heartbreaking. This is so sad. Listen, this book is making me so sad. This is such a depressing book, such a depressing world. Tomorrow is going to start my holiday reading, and I really need it because this book is so sad. Just thinking about it makes me just want to cry. The fact, even in the sex scene, her telling him that she's so lonely and he's use me, I'm lonely too. I'm and the things, I'm not gonna, SenLinYu is such an amazing author. Again, the way she describes things, here, she describes him, and she describes him as a star. He was glittering and ice cold from afar, but when the space was bridged, the heat of him was endless. So she used dark magic for the first time, and she actually killed, I think 15 people. So her body and her magic responds. So she's ice cold. And then she finds him. They have sex. And this was everything and more. But like I said, even though it was supposed to be happy, it was just sadness. And I was so scared before that Ron was also gonna die. Thankfully, he hasn't, but I'm sure he will. Oh, and Ginny is pregnant. And right now, I've forgotten who all have died. I don't think I'll ever recover from this book. I still need to read the last 2 chapters of flashbacks, and I'm dreading them. I'm dreading reading them because I know just heartbreak is gonna ensue. Harry already died. It's just heartbreak on top of heartbreak. I wanted to actually read it before going to bed, but I just was so scared that I was not going to fall asleep. Although I do have to say, I ended up not being able to fall asleep anyways. I could have just read them. But yeah, I'm going to make a concerted effort to at least read those 2 chapters. And then I don't know what to do. Part of me just wants to continue. But then SenLinYu says it's good to reread the first 25 chapters. I'm not going to do that because I don't have the time and I want to finish this book before my favorites of the year come out. So she did make like an entire synopsis of the first 25 chapters. I'm just going to continue and see if I'm lost anywhere. I'll just look at that synopsis, but otherwise I think I remember pretty well what happened. Although those tiny little moments, obviously I will one day reread this book, hopefully physically. And then obviously there's going to be more points to pick up on. A part of me just wants to reread this one day and start with the flashbacks. Have any of you ever done that? Definitely let me know. Okay, so I'm on chapter 65 of Manacled. SenLinYu, what the fuck are you doing to me? Like, oh my god. Reading those scenes of the Weasleys being tortured. I told you guys, I cannot cry when I'm reading like sad books for the first time. I was so close to crying. That was horrifying to read about. I was so fucking sad. So sad about it. So it turns out, obviously, so the Battle of Hogwarts obviously didn't go as planned. And Draco, Hermione kind of manipulated Draco 2 times, actually, telling him that she would go with him once he saved Ginny. The only way he could save Ginny is by walking in there. So that would compromise everything. So then, once again, she manipulated him. She wanted him to take Ginny away. And then she would come with him, but instead she went to Sussex and bombed that building, and that's when she was captured. And now we're back at the present chapters, and it's obvious Draco is angry with her, and she doesn't know why, but it's obvious why he's angry with her. He lost her for 2 years. We find out the reason he's been so cruel to her and stuff like that is he knew that Voldemort was gonna search her memories. So it's basically like he could not allude to caring for her. But it turns out that he and Severus have been working behind the scenes. And it was him actually who destroyed Umbridge's necklace, which is obviously the Horcrux. And in this story, it's not like once all his Horcruxes have been destroyed, he will, like Voldemort will ultimately like slowly pass away or die, which is happening. I know that there are 3 epilogues, and I really hope that that will insert me with some happiness. Turns out that Ginny's still alive and she had her baby, so that is at least some happiness, but I don't think I can sleep tonight with those images of the Weasleys in my brain. This is definitely one of my favorite books I read this year. It's you see, like, talking about it actually does make me emotional. It's just reading it, I cannot. Like, actually, yesterday in the shower, I was actually sobbing, like a sobbing mess. This story is just... I cannot. Draco is... the way he loves her. So I'm 78% of the way through. I have 10 chapters to read before the 3 epilogues. I'm very interested to see how they're gonna get back together, because obviously a lot happened. She thinks it's because she's not the same Hermione, but I just know in my heart it's because he cannot forgive her for doing what she did. Like, she broke a promise to him. She promised him that she would go with, like, that she would leave Britain. I honestly, like, obviously this is all from Hermione's point of view. I cannot imagine the heartbreak and heartache that Draco has endured for 2 years. Like, they were supposed to run away together. Instead, he had to keep being like this general in this army that he hates, serving a man that he despises, not even a man, like a monster that he despises, doing things to shred his soul, basically, all in search for Hermione. And then once he finally has her, that he has to like then he has to act indifferent to her, be cruel to her, have to rape her. I honestly think like this book is already sad. I think if we had Manacled from Draco's point of view, it would be like I could recover from that. A part of me wants to reread this book, and a part of me never wants to read this book ever again. I'm so conflicted, but it's obviously like without a shadow of a doubt, it is, if not my favorite book I read this year, definitely at least in the top three, top two actually. It's either my favorite or the runner-up. A part of me wishes that I read it earlier in the year, because I always have to take a little bit of time and sit with my feelings after reading a favorite book. Usually with least favorite books, I can like instantly know like, yeah, I hated that book. But with favorites, obviously I know when I really love a book, but sometimes it just takes a while for me to be like, oh yeah, that was a favorite. Or if a book that where I instantly thought it was a favorite, sometimes after a couple weeks, I find myself not thinking about it. But I cannot imagine a world where I'm not thinking about Manacled, honestly. I don't know what I told you in my last update, but basically just depressing shit has been happening. We find out, like, the one happy thing we find out is that she's pregnant with a little girl and that he is happy with either gender. So basically we're back with Draco just slowly trying to commit suicide, basically. And, you know, my heart was so broken for him. You know, there was this whole scene of him just like blaming her for everything, which honestly I stand with him. Like everything, like the fact that he told her that she's been putting them both through hell for the last 2 years, that just broke my heart. Because like I said, he told no lies. He told no lies. Okay, so she tells him that she did everything she did to save him, and he tells her, "You didn't save me. You just put us in hell for 2 years." Stop. And when he actually recites everything that he did to her, ugh. Do you have a better solution this time too? After all, not every single horror that I've ever imagined has happened yet. Losing you and spending 16 months trying and failing to find you, finding you tortured and broken, keeping you as a prisoner in this house, raping you. His voice was growing raw with grief and rage. Having to hold you in my hands and feel you in my head while your mind was ravaged. Finding someone raping you in my garden. Finding you with your eye nearly gouged out because my wife had attempted to blind you. Finding you bludgeoning yourself against a window. Watching you waste away because I'd gotten you pregnant. Arriving to see you collapse and then learn that the damage from your occlumency and the fetal magic was so severe you might never ever wake up. That I might have killed you. Is that not enough? There are undoubtedly still unexplored depths to the potential misery between us. Should we endeavor to achieve it all? Stop! Listen, Draco is like my perfect man. I love him. I just want to hold him. I just want to hold him and tell him, you know, everything's gonna be okay, okay? I pray everything's gonna be okay. Ugh, I just hope for a sliver of happiness between these two. So I still have 7 chapters to read. And now fucking Lucius has shown up, which, get the fuck out of here, okay? So obviously that's gonna also cause some, I don't know, so 7 chapters, and then hopefully the epilogue is gonna be the HEA that is so hard earned. Like, if any 2 people deserve happiness, it's these 2. Also, so there's this problem because of the unbreakable vows here. Draco cannot run away with her the way she wants because his unbreakable vow is that he was supposed to do everything in his power to make sure that the Order achieved what they wanted, which is Voldemort dead. And even though Voldemort is dying, he's still not dead, and that could take years. And then Severus cannot force Hermione to come with him because of his unbreakable vow with Draco. So SenLinYu just has set the stage for an impossible happily ever after, in my opinion.
But I'm sure Hermione will figure it out, hopefully, because she has been researching a lot, trying to get his dark mark off of him, which, I mean, how hard can it be? I know Voldemort was this powerful wizard, but I mean, he was still pretty young when he invented this dark mark. Surely there has to be a solution. Yeah, I just want them to be happy with their little baby, which that discussion was also heartbreaking. The fact that he didn't expect her to keep it, the fact that he actually wanted her to abort this baby so that she could, once he died, she could be happy with somebody else. Also, there was this other thing that just made me want to bawl. They took this walk and he's telling her stories about his past when he was a little boy, and she just realizes that the reason he's telling her all these stories is so that she could tell them to their daughter one day when he's dead. So he's been making arrangements. The manor will be his daughter's one day, and vault set up in Hermione's name, actually. They try to have sex because she's like, I want new memories, you know, the ones where you were forced and I was forced. I want that to, I want to get rid of those. And then once they try, even though he doesn't want to, eventually he relents, and then she cannot do it, which once again, another heartbreak. And then once again, SenLinYu, the way with words, he looked like something she could shatter in her hands. That just reminds me of Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift. Your heart was glass, I dropped it. Ugh, poor Draco. And then this line. This line I've read before, but I just thought it was Draco telling Hermione, but it's Hermione telling Draco. I don't want to choose. Her voice rasping, and it hurt to speak. I always have to choose, and I never get to choose you. I'm so tired of never getting to choose you. Listen, I have, honestly, I've not full on cried yet, but I've been on the verge so many times with this book. I think SenLinYu has been the closest to actually get me to cry while reading a book for the first time. So I'm here to give you my final thoughts on Manacled. Manacled was perfect in my opinion. I really loved it. It did finally make me cry. I do have to say, with books, the things that usually make me cry are like bittersweet things. So what ended up doing it for me was when Ginny actually killed Voldemort, and like the whole explanations afterwards, those really like ended up tears in my eyes. And I was on a train, so I did cry on the train. I did film it, but I don't know if you can actually see my tears. So yeah, Ginny killing Voldemort and the aftermath. Listen, even these epilogues were sad to me. Like, yes, they're together, and the alternative is much worse, because the alternative would have been either Hermione or Draco or both dying. But the fact that Aurora cannot even tell anybody who her parents are, the fact that Draco has to hide because of all the things he's done. I do have to say, I gotta give SenLinYu props for following through on magic has a cost, or dark magic has a cost, and the things Draco did do have a cost. Usually, and she's not even a published author. Like, usually with authors, they're very easy. Like, some authors are like, well, whatever, let's just give them a happy ever after, even though, and then obviously sometimes actions don't have consequences or have smaller consequences. She laid it all out there and she followed through. Like, the fact that Hermione did dark magic during the war ended up costing her her memories, and the fact that Draco, even though, you know, like, throughout those epilogue scenes, like, the war has a cost, and it was laid out very clearly. Like, even though it is an epilogue, even though they do have their happily ever after, even though they are together, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It still hurts. Like, they are still paranoid. Draco does still have issues. The fact that he's still out for revenge in some ways. The fact that Hermione has these memory issues. The fact that he had trouble with his daughter, because obviously the way she was conceived was horrifying for both of them. SenLinYu doesn't pull her punches, and like I said, even the happily ever afters, even though I am like, they have their family, it is happy, it's not a full happily ever after. They are like, they will always struggle, because obviously what they went through is traumatic. And, you know, I did love seeing Ginny and watching her and James. But yeah, once again, Ginny, she's not the nicest to Draco, and obviously vice versa. I do love the fact, and I what I do really love is her, like, these Malfoy traits, the fact that she compared them to dragons and they're very possessive. I did love seeing that in Aurora as well, the fact that she when James had to leave, that she was like, but he's mine, he's mine. I love that. You guys know, like, I love the whole he's mine or you're mine trope, basically. This was a masterpiece. Like I said it in my Goodreads review, like I feel like Manacled has altered my DNA. Like I'm not the same person I was when I first started it. I do have to say I did start it on October 1st. It took me so long to read. I do have to say, obviously on reread it will be different, but I feel like before the flashbacks, it was very difficult for me to read this book, and it did take me a very long time to read it. I wasn't really compelled to pick it up. It wasn't until the flashbacks started that I was really, really invested in it, but nevertheless, it is a favorite of the year and a favorite book ever. There are some, like 4 shorts that I am very much looking forward to reading too, but I'm not going to read them right now. I feel like I need a break from Manacled for a while, even though I'm pretty sure these shorts are not sad. I love the fact that he got his prosthetic. I love the fact that, you know, she ended up saving him the way she promised him she would. Yeah, it was heartbreaking, but heartbreakingly beautiful in my opinion. So yeah, those were my thoughts on Manacled. I don't think I have any more, and if I do, maybe I'll put them in the description or in one of the comments. This story is definitely going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And I would really love to know your thoughts on Manacled. Leave all your thoughts down below. If you have a particular scene that you want to talk about that I haven't mentioned yet, or any of the scenes I did mention, leave all your thoughts in the comments below. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.